He built the most iconic stage in digital marketing and then chose to step away. In this rare and honest conversation, Ryan Deiss shares what it cost to build traffic and conversion and what he's building now. Please help me welcome Ryan Deiss to the Creating Powerful Impact stage. How are you, Ryan?
I am amazing. How are you?
I'm lovely, thank you. I'm excited to have you on because I want to go like way back. Before the lights, before the crowds, before like literally the global recognition of traffic and conversion. And I know, because obviously I'm in the event space, that traffic and conversion didn't just necessarily explode overnight. So I would love to know, like, take us into the grind. What don't people see about what it really took to build TNC?
Well, I don't think people realize that it was started by accident, and that for the first 3 years we lost money. The
No.
idea of yeah, I mean the idea of Traffic and Conversion Summit was my business partner at the time, Perry Belcher. He was saying like we should do an event, we should do an event. And keep in mind, this was before digitalmarketer.com even existed.
Oh,
So a lot of people think that we own Digital Marketer, and so we decided to do an event. No, that's not how that went down. We just had some random products that we were selling about marketing, but we didn't really even see ourselves as having a marketing training business. This was just some random one-off products that we did. We had e-commerce companies, we had businesses in the manufacturing space. Like we didn't even consider the teaching of marketing to be a quote unquote real business. And yet we were speaking at these events and Perry's like, this is stupid. All these other events suck. We could do it so much better. We should do a marketing event. And for a year I was like, no, we're not going to do an event. These events all suck. They're pitch fests. I don't want to have anything to do with these things. Let's not do it. He's like, man, we'd make a killing. He's doing what a lot of people do who I think go to events where they count the number of people who are in the seats and they multiply it by what they paid for a ticket. And
mm-hmm.
they assume that that's what the person who put on the event made.
Right. Yeah.
And everybody listening right now who's ever put on an event just like laughed and threw up a bit in their mouth at the same time, right? Because we all know that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Half the people that were there were like dragged in on the street, off the street just to fill the empty seats that didn't get sold. A bunch of them were given away to like friends and family. Most of them were discounted, and you had like 3 people that actually paid full price, right? And
Right.
everything cost a lot more to put on than you thought that it would. So anyway, we didn't know that. What I said to him though, I said, look, if we're going to do this event, I want to do it right. I want to make sure that everybody leaves after the third day saying, wow, that was the best event I've ever been to in my entire life. So it is going to be a content driven event, not just some pitch fest. Because back then, every event, a speaker would come up, they'd
Mm-hmm.
do a talk for 45 minutes, they'd pitch for 30 minutes, and it was just one after another after another. And so that's what we did. And we said, we're going to put on this event. It's going to be a no pitch event. We're just going to teach what's working for us. We thought, maybe 100 people would show up. We had, almost 200 people show up, which was great.
Yeah.
The problem is that we didn't charge that much to put the people in the room.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the hotel came around as they often do on the third day, and they're like, "Hey, here's your bill,"
Here you
right?
go. Yep.
And we looked at it, and we're like, "What? Coffee's that much?" You
Uh-huh.
know, it's all the little things, and it's like that was too much. So we walked out on stage and literally were like, "Good news, everybody, we're doing it again." And the only reason that we sold tickets for next year's event was to cover the bill for this year's event.
But wicked smart that you literally pivoted in the moment to go, oh crap, we have to pay for this thing now.
Yeah, well, I mean, some might consider it to be like a Ponzi scheme when you're basically accepting money from this event to pay for another one. But anyway, it did work out. I mean, it absolutely did work out. There was another funny thing that happened at that first event. To tell another quick story, we had only prepared content for 2.5 days, and we were like, surely we'll come up with some other stuff, for the last half of the third day. Well, we didn't, and then we just kind of forgot that we hadn't come up with anything. So in addition to getting this bill at lunch and needing to come up with something, we realized we didn't have any content. And so you mentioned Wicked Smart to come up with this idea. Well, the other idea that we had was the Wicked Smart contest. Because we said, hey, everybody, you've heard from us for 2.5 days. We now want to hear from you. If you've got a great idea, come up on stage and share your best idea. And when we asked everybody at the end, what was your favorite part of the event, they all said that it was the Wicked Smart idea when everybody else shared. And that became kind of a standard fixture of all of the other events that we did. So yeah, I mean, that first event, we broke even. The second event, we broke even. The third Traffic and Conversion Summit, we actually lost money. And we lost quite a bit of money. Just because we decided we were going to, big ball and spend a lot more money on AV and things like that. And we assumed that we'd sell more tickets than we did. And we still sold a lot. And it was at the third Traffic and Conversion when we said, okay, this might be a thing. And that was when we launched Digital Marketer. And that was when we started treating it like a real event. But in our decision to treat it like a real event, that was when we lost the most money. But we actually had some sponsors and things like that. We still didn't know what the heck we were doing. But yeah, I think that's what a lot of people don't know, is that there were 3 years of building an event, losing money. But the original vision of let's have an event where people leave saying, wow, that's the best event I've ever been to, that was what made it work. And that was why people came back. And I do think if you're going to put on an event, and if you want to build an event that does grow, that needs to be your goal. You need to, if you want an event that grows, people have to want to come back and they want to tell their friends. And to do that, you've got to put on an amazing event with amazing content and an amazing experience.
Yeah. Now, before we started recording, you were mentioning that there's really a difference between building an event to be sold versus utilizing an event to make money. Can you touch on that a little bit, and then what made you decide to eventually sell?
Sure. I believe there's 3 categories of events. There are community events, and so these are events that are primarily for a particular brand or company. Right. And so this event is put on by a company. They're inviting the people who are in their community to it. And then they'll also sell tickets to the outside world. And the primary purpose of this event really is to sell the offerings that this company offers. So, I mean, it's like a customer appreciation type event, a user conference.
Okay.
Right. It would be an example of a community event. And so that's one type of event. The second type of event is more of a convention style of event, and a convention style event is one where people typically come for the content. And so they're coming to hear what other people have to say, for the different forums. And then the third type is the expo style event. And the expo style event, this is where people are coming for vendors, they're coming for the network, they're coming really because it's a 2-sided marketplace. And there are buyers and there are sellers at this event. And I think understanding where you're slotted is really, really important. Because a lot of the people who are putting on events, they're putting on a community style event, a user conference. That is the hardest, arguably impossible style event to sell, right? That's the one that is the most difficult event to sell. We were fortunate in the beginning, we branded our event Traffic and Conversion Summit. Because we said we wanted this event, what is it really about? Marketing is about 2 things, getting traffic and then converting that traffic. Let's call it Traffic and Conversion Summit. We toyed for a while about rebranding it once we came out with Digital Marketer as the name of the company, of calling it Digital Marketer Live. I'm really glad we chose not to do that, because had we gone that route, we would have unintentionally shifted it from what was really an industry convention into a community event.
Yep.
Which would have rendered it largely unsellable. Now, I'm not
Yep.
saying that there's anything wrong with the community event. So right now, at my newest company, the Scalable company, we have Get Scalable Live, and it is a community event by design. We have no intentions or desires to sell that event. We want it to function as a community event. I don't really intend to build a another convention or or an expo style event. But if you want to build an event to sell, it does need to really exist on its own. It needs to be able to live separate from the community and the business that launched it. It needs to be operating on its own P&L. And the easiest one of all to sell is the expo style. When people come because other people are there, that's the easiest style event to sell. The convention one where you've got to bring in different speakers, that could be the one that's the hardest because ultimately that involves taste, that involves programming, and ultimately if you sell that, the people who buy it from you, they may not have the same taste. That was the problem that we ran into when we sold Traffic and Conversion Summit. We sold to people who weren't marketers, and
Yeah.
they didn't really know how to do it. And between COVID and them really just not knowing how to program a tactical marketing event, they didn't understand what they bought. They also tried to turn it into an expo style event. It didn't work. That's why the event declined, and they ultimately just shut the whole thing down last year, which is
Which
kind of
is
sad.
so sad.
Yeah.
And I think you built it in such a way that people were like, "Oh, Ryan, what are you doing? Why are you shutting it down?" You're like, "I haven't owned that in forever." But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
but it was
bummer.
still super tied to you, part of the
Yeah.
branding, right? It's so
Yeah,
fascinating.
and that is, that's kind of the good news and the bad news about it. And a lot of that was because when we sold it, we were intentional about, despite the fact that we sold the event, we retained a contract to still have certain programming rights because I still wanted Digital Marketer to have the benefit of the platform. So
Yes.
we were still sponsoring it. And so this
Yes.
is important. If you want to pivot your event from a community event into an event that can be sold, but you still want to be able to monetize that event, right? So you do still want to sell at your own event. You need to be a sponsor at your own event. And so that's what we did. We had shifted to where Digital Marketer was now a paid sponsor at Traffic and Conversion Summit. So it had a booth at Traffic and Conversion Summit. It paid for that booth. It paid for the speaking slot where it had the opportunity to sell. But on Traffic and Conversion Summit's P&L, it essentially had a $200,000 sponsorship,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Now, Digital Marketer might have done, $1.2 million in sales, right? But TNC got to realize $200,000 in revenue.
Sponsor income.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which got carried forward and which we got the multiple on when we sold it. So you can sort of have your cake and eat it too, but definitely when you go into the convention and the expo route, now you're talking multi-stage, multi-track. Anytime you do that, it's going to dilute your selling opportunity. You're from the stage selling opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can kind of have your cake and eat it too, but you can't have all your cake.
Well, I want to talk about like so many founders out there essentially dream of an exit, but they rarely talk about the identity unraveling that comes afterwards. Like you were TNC, right? Like so the branding and everybody thought you still owned it, all of that. Can we chat a little bit about like how it felt to step away from the thing that defined you so much in your earlier part of your career?
Sure. I think anytime you're exiting a business, you have to be clear what you're exiting from and what you're exiting to.
Mm,
And very often, people only think about kind of the upside and the proceeds of the exit. And they're never clear on exactly what it is that they're leaving. And they're also not really clear on where they're going. So they're clear on what they're getting.
right.
They don't know what they're leaving and they don't know where they're going. And when you don't know what you're leaving, you don't actually do any business with the loss. And when you don't know where you're going, you're unclear on your identity. And this is where founders get into trouble. So for me, it was very, very clear on what we were getting. We were getting a whole lot of tens of millions of dollars. So yay, right?
Let's
That's
celebrate.
awesome.
Yep.
I can also tell you the reason that I wanted to sell is we were going into our 10th year. That business had, was a single event that took place over about 72 hours that was up to $5, $6 million in budget. That's a lot of risk.
That's a lot of risk.
And so far going into the 10th year, nothing major had gone wrong. And I was starting to have recurring nightmares leading up to that event of something horrible going wrong. And I was saying to my partners, I was like, I don't know what's going to go wrong, but I've just got a feeling that something really, really bad is going to happen. Um, I was right. COVID happened. I mean, we sold that event in 2018. We had our earnout in 2019. So we basically got all the money that we could possibly get in 2019. And then COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, call it luck, call it providence, call it what you will. What I was leaving, as much as I love that event and love being a part of that event, I knew that what I was leaving was a tremendous amount of stress and sleepless nights. And so I was very comfortable to take that off of my plate. I was especially comfortable taking that off my plate because I still had plenty of things around me that I still got. Like, so I still had digital marketer.
Mm-hmm.
And it also was giving me more time to focus on Scalable, which was the new venture that I was looking to start, of which, you've been, involved in.
Absolutely. Highly recommend going into the Scalable group and checking it out. Yeah.
Thank you. And that was really my new passion. And so for me, exiting this one identity created the space and the margin to step into a new, frankly, more exciting identity. And so it was only upside for me. I was receiving something pretty awesome in the form of lots of money. I was exiting the scary thing that I didn't necessarily like, and I was stepping into something that I liked more. That is the ideal exit scenario. That's not always the case, right? Very often, yes, you should be receiving something good. You might be leaving something that you love, but stepping into something good. You want to make sure that you at least can check 2 of those 3 boxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really, really important. And so many people, they only check the 1 box if I'm getting the good thing. And what they don't realize is they're leaving something they love and stepping into something that is totally unknown. And they've got this money and they miss what they had and they have no identity and they just spiral. And before too long, they start chasing the new and they blow through their money doing that. And they're left with literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad. It's like, it's almost like the person that wins the lottery and you find out a couple years later that they're broke.
Yeah, that's literally the example that popped into my head was they just blew it all and you're worse off than you were before. So actually having a plan moving forward, and I think that's what I appreciate about Scalable is you guys all go, okay, if that's the direction you want to go, like let's think about all of these pieces of it. So we're just going to go off at a tangent, everybody. On the Scalable side, putting the systems and the operating systems in place so you can grow and scale and exit if you want to, or just so you can run the business properly, right? I think is super important. A lot of people don't think about, right?
Yeah, I mean, we never could have sold that business, and we were very intentional about it if we didn't have all the core value creating functions documented.
Right.
So
You couldn't give over that business of TNC if it couldn't run on its own and just put in the new owner, essentially.
exactly. So we could say this is our playbook that we run for selling tickets.
Yeah.
This is the exact playbook that we want run. We start sending this email campaign at this many days out, and then we send this one, and then we send this one, and then we send this one.
Yeah.
This is our playbook for how we go about sourcing these celebrities. This is our playbook for how we go about structuring the event, even though they didn't follow it. This is our playbook for how we go about sourcing
Sponsors,
speakers and things like that. This is our
Yeah.
playbook for how we go about getting sponsors, right? So we had playbooks and value engines mapped for every single one of these, and it was clear who was uniquely accountable for each one of them, and that's when it was handoffable. And if you don't have that, if everything is dependent upon you and your genius, then you're essential. And while that can make you feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside, it also means that you've got a full-time job. And I don't ever want to be essential, because if I'm essential, that also means I'm trapped.
Yeah. And the huge bottleneck.
Yeah, captive.
Oh, I love it. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit and imagine that you get to rebuild it all from scratch, like with the wisdom that you have now. What gets left out? what gets a total rework, and if you were mentoring somebody that wants to use events in their business to sell high ticket in 2025, what advice would you give?
So, and it's specifically to sell high ticket?
Hmm.
Yeah, because that's important because I wouldn't do anything that we did at Traffic and Conversion Summit.
Yeah.
Because this has come up before. Because as soon as with Traffic and Conversion Summit, as soon as we made the decision to have a lot of sponsors, which we did, the second that you put a lot of sponsors out there, what you do is you begin to dilute your messaging and you give another source, another place for your money to go. The money that's out there in the room, it can now start to go to those people, even if it's non-competitive, right?
Thank you so
It's
much for saying that because I have
it's
people come to me
still
all the time and they're like, "Oh, and I want to have like 20 sponsors and I also want to sell my $20,000 program." I'm like, "No. Doesn't work
yeah,
that
you
way."
you will absolutely. I mean, if you've got 200 people in a room, there is little doubt in my mind. If you have 200 people in a room and you've got, five sponsors at $20,000, you'll probably lose out on five sales, right? There's just almost no doubt, if not more. I don't know that those sponsors are going to ROI. I just I don't believe that they will. Now, for us, if the sponsors that are out there are also our other companies, different animal,
Hmm.
right? So that's a different ball game. But that's the first thing. So when we made the decision to let's have sponsors, not only did that dilute our high ticket sales efforts, but the sponsors got upset because the sponsor said, "Hey, nobody's out here talking to us. Everybody's in the room." And so that's when we said, "Oh, we need to have multiple stages so that we can get people passing from stage to stage, and that's going to create the flow that's going to have the sponsor conversations." Well, that was good for sponsors, but it was really bad because now we don't have everybody in the same room where we can create the type of experience. Because if you want to sell high ticket at an event, it's not about just doing a single talk where you make the sale, right?
Yeah.
You need to be building towards the sale, which is typically, if it's a 3-day event, which would be my recommendation, you can do it in 2 days, but typically a 3-day event is going to be the ideal. You're typically going to make the sale before lunch on the second day, right? That's typically going to be the best time to make the sale, and you're going to be slowly building towards it, having sessions that are going to be inoculating against known objections and things like that, beginning to pre-sell the value and all those other things on day 1 and 2, building up to that. Well, if you diffuse people by sending them into other rooms, that's not happening,
Right.
right? They're not getting that impact. And certainly if people can be in another room when you're making your offer, well, that's an even bigger problem. But even if you say, no, during this one, all the other stages are closed, you still diffused like the impact of the previous kind of pre-sell sessions.
Yeah. The journey that you've taken them on to hit all of those objections to lead up to showcasing the gap and how your offer bridges that gap.
Yep. So it's got to be one track, one experience. All of these are counterproductive to having sponsors who are there. It just it just is. The only types of sponsors that you can have that still can work are if you have a sponsor that is a very, very, very low cost tool.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you could like have a CRM there or something like that. If you're selling a marketing thing and you've got like a high level or something I mean, that truly is something that absolutely everybody needs. And, if they've got a thing and it's $200, that is the kind of deal that's unlikely to do that. And with tools, very often, if you can bundle what they have out there with your core offer, now it can be beneficial.
Yeah.
So very low cost, or if it's a brand, I mean, we've done things before with like American Express, right? Where they were happy to be there because we had a bunch of small business clients. That was actually, elevating because they're a big brand. So
And
these
on the
kinds,
backside, you could then like apply, get a credit card, and then pay for your program.
exactly. Same with like different merchant companies. So there are certain exceptions where sponsors can be an impact, but they need to be an integrated
Yeah.
sponsor or brand sponsor that isn't making any type of direct sale at the event. and that are okay with you running a single track event. So that's kind of the first thing that I would do differently, because when we made the decision to go sponsors and when we made the decision to go multi-track at TNC, high ticket sales fell off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Still did
Mm-hmm.
okay because the volume was there.
Yeah.
But people assume that we were making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars when we had like, 8,000, 9,000 people at the event. Nope. We generated more revenue when we had 2,000 people.
Really? Yeah.
Yep.
Because all of it was going towards the sponsors and such.
Yep. And right now at our Get Scalable event, when we have like 700 or 800 people, we'll do more at that event than we ever did at Traffic and Conversion Summit because it can
Yeah.
be focused.
Yep. It's that
It can
one
be focused.
track. It's leading them to, closing that gap, supporting, getting rid of their pain. And you only have a handful of sponsors that are outside of what it is that you're doing, right?
Yep. The
That's
other thing that I'll say, mistakes that I've made in terms of selling high ticket at events, if you have a phone sales team that is accustomed to doing consultative sales, these are oftentimes going to be your worst event salespeople. Because event sales is not consultative. Because at the event, what you're doing in the sessions is you are doing the selling.
yeah.
They're ready to go. And we experienced this, firsthand. I remember, and this was actually at a Traffic Conversion Summit, we were selling a $35,000 a year mastermind. And one of my business partners, Roland Frazier, another one, Perry, they're both back in the booth and they're actively selling. At the end of the day, Perry had sold 2, Roland had sold 14
Mm-hmm.
units.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked up and was like, how'd you do? Perry's like, I got 2, but you're going to be talking some more. Like, Roland, how'd you do? He's like, I got 14. I was like, how the heck did you get 14? And Roland's like, well, Perry, what are you saying to people? He's like, well, I'm asking them like, so what's going on? Tell me about your business. And, what kind of problems do you have? And I mean, basically having this consultative sales conversation,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you would do with somebody if you're running a discovery call and doing it over the phone if you don't have any relationship whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Roland, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm just asking him, well, so you've heard about the stuff. You ready to get started?
Yeah.
And when they go, yeah, it's like, okay, great.
Okay,
Let's
great.
get you started.
Here. Yeah. The selling
You're
happens from the stage.
correct. Your consultative salespeople will unsell more people than they will sell.
Yeah.
And you can tell them all day long, hey, it's a different thing, but it's just not how they're wired. So more times than not, you're better off getting a completely a sales team that knows nothing about your offer, but they know event sales. You're better off getting an event sales team and teaching them about your offer than you are getting your trained sales team who knows everything about your offer and they've been selling it for months and years to
Mm-hmm.
sell at an event. And this is something that I did not believe. It's something that I fought, and I've been proven wrong every single time. So that is another big change that I would make. So if you want to sell high ticket, do that. Also, trying to pre-book a bunch of sales conversations and things like that ahead of time. That's not a thing that has ever really worked because again, you want people who are in the room. You're going to do your ideal selling from the stage. So don't give people the opportunity to screw that up ahead of time.
Yeah.
You feel like you want to get something going on day one because you feel like there's all this empty space. It's not empty space. That's where the pre-selling is taking place. Just let it be. Just let it happen. Having a couple of big name speakers can be good for overall elevation of the event. They typically don't sell tickets.
No.
So if
Yeah.
you're going to have a celebrity speaker, don't expect them to pay for themselves in ticket sales. They can, however, help with the elevation. Put them at the end of the day because they will frequently go long. Also, make sure that that they're not the kind of person who's going to be completely averse to selling and crap on in everything that you've just talked about because I've seen that happen at events as well.
So bad. So
Yeah,
bad. Yeah, well, I agree with you. If they are coming for that keynote speaker, they're not coming for your content, they're coming for the keynote. And
right.
then now you're just paying for somebody that's not a viable unit, essentially, or somebody that you can help, because that's not why they're there. They're not in the pain that you're supporting them with, right?
At the community events, at the user conferences, it is the titles of the sessions that will sell the event more than the speakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's like focusing on that. This is what we're going to do. This is what you're going to leave with. Focus on outcome-based things, and less, these are the amazing people that are going to be there.
Yeah. Brilliant. I want to take a look at like what's next. What is it that you're stepping into? What is it that you're working on? Are courses, digital marketer was big on courses. What's AI look like? Is it done for you services? Is it a combination of everything? Like, what do you see is happening in the marketplace right now?
Well, I can tell you over the past 18 months at Digital Marketer in particular, we watched our course sales fall off a cliff. I mean, they dropped to 20% of what they were 18 months ago. They didn't drop by 20%. They dropped to 20%
That's
of
insane.
what they were.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I don't think it's coming back. I think the course world peaked during COVID, and I think we saw a pullback from that high, and we were going to experience a steady decline as people realized during COVID, hey, I bought all these courses and I didn't go through them and I didn't get the result and they didn't magically make me, rich, happy, and thin. And so you were always going to have that kind of blowback, but I expected it to sort of slowly return because that's been the ebb and flow of the education business forever. There's been spikes and then there's been declines and then it's sort of come back. I think AI changed all that. With AI, answers are a commodity. Answers are a commodity in the age of AI. They just are. Having the answers is not really the thing that anybody needs anymore. They've got all the answers sitting around in their pocket. And so the idea of I need to learn this, people don't think that way anymore. Any more than we think I need to learn the internal workings and mechanics of the internal combustion engine to drive a car.
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes to course sales, I do still believe that there are some things that if you need to learn it and then do it with your hands, like AI can't do the thing for you, that aspect of courses is still going to be, totally fine, right? If AI can't produce the end result, then courses, training, and education, yeah, people are still going to need to learn how to do that. But if the outcome of what somebody is going to learn can just as easily be produced by a simple AI prompt, then good luck.
Yeah.
And that's what we've experienced for everything, certainly at Digital Marketer. And so what we've done, and what I would encourage you to do if you're currently in the course business, is stop trying to teach humans how to do the thing that you know, and instead teach AI how to do it and give the humans access to the AI.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did at Digital Marketer. We said, look, AI is great, but at the end of the day, AI is still kind of a sophomore philosophy major, right? It's really, really smart, but it's not always as smart as it thinks it is.
Yeah.
But if we can take ChatGPT, for example, which is really, really smart, and we can now infuse it with everything that we know about content marketing, email marketing, social marketing, we can make our bots, our agents, our GPTs really, really smart. And then if we give people access to these, to these bots, to these custom prompts, and then they infuse it with what they know, now they've got something really, really, really special. And so that's what we've shifted the entire business over to. We will still give people access to the training so that they understand how they were trained,
Okay.
but ultimately it's an AI first offering. And then what we've also blended with that is a human element so that you kind of push the first 10% in. So tell AI about your business, about your product, about who you serve. That's kind of the first 10%. AI will do the 80%. And then we've got humans, we've got our coaches, we've got our consultants who will review it for you before it goes live. That's the last 10%. So I think
Nice.
you can have a 10-80-10 that is essentially AI squared. It's
Yeah.
artificial intelligence combined with actual intelligence. This is the offering that is getting people the best results, and it's the offering we're finding that is selling the best today. And so
Yeah.
I think that's the future of the quote unquote education information coaching business.
What about the ones that have like a certification business in a box? Same thing?
Depending on the, yeah, I mean, depending on the certification that you're offering, what now you should consider doing is making those custom AI GPTs available as an aspect of the certification so that you can turn your people into AI powered done for you experts. So you can
Mhm.
say to your people, hey, go out there and instead of just talking about this stuff, or if you're currently certifying people who are now going and doing it,
Yeah.
say, hey, you're going to go out there and you're going to do this, but you're going to do this AI enabled. So whereas in the past you could only take on 20 clients, you're not going to be able to take on 30, 40, 50 because we're going to give you the AI tools to take care of all of this back office work that used to take you however much time. Now these AI tools are going to make you far more effective.
Mhm.
It'll sell better because people will look at it and go, well, that seems a lot easier. I mean, you're basically selling speed and automation,
Yeah.
and your people will be more successful. They will be more effective, which I think that's what we all want, right? We want our people to be successful with the things
Win.
that we
Yeah.
offer them. So yeah, I think it's going to be on you to AIify your certifications, the assets that you're giving your people so that they can go out there and be AI powered done for you experts.
Love it. I love it. So as we kind of wrap up, Ryan, we could probably talk forever on a bunch of different things, especially like on the scalable side and everything you're doing now. But if people were interested in connecting with you, learning more from you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I'm posting kind of all of my best stuff on YouTube right now. I mean, that's where I feel like if I've got anything good or interesting to say, I'm creating YouTube videos. And I do believe that YouTube, as somebody who's been creating courses and content for 25 years, I'm essentially done creating courses and content for money. I'm really out of that game, and I'm not going to proclaim that the paid course and content business is dead. I wouldn't go that far, but for me at least, I'm definitely at a phase in my life and in my career where I'm ready just to start sharing what I know for free because I've got brands behind me and businesses behind me that can do it for people. And I would rather just teach everything that I know. And if you want help getting it done, well, we've got a brand, we've got people around us that can facilitate the getting of it done, whether that's Scalable or Digital Marketer or, one of our other companies. So yeah, if you just
Yeah,
want to see what we're doing, YouTube is the place. If you
yeah.
just type in Ryan Deiss, you'll find me.
Yeah, and we'll have the link in the show notes for sure. But essentially, what you're doing is you're taking all of the courses and teaching that, and then going, hey, if you want it AI squared and done for you and done faster, then come over and pick this GPT up or what have you, right?
Yeah, we took all of our, I mean, at Digital Marketer, we took every single course off the market.
Wow.
Every single course, every single certification off the market. And it's funny because people were like, oh, I've seen this before. This is just a gimmick. Like, it's not a gimmick. It's really, really simple. Nobody was buying them. Like, it wasn't that big of a lift. Like, this is
Yeah.
not a giant risk. You weren't buying them. Like, we didn't have to, like, we can do this one last sale and be like, oh, last chance to have access to all these things and generate more in this sale than we would have made in years because you weren't freaking buying them.
Right.
Also, we don't want to continue to make the original courses available because this now, our intellectual property is what we're using to train AI. So we don't want to just make this available. And I'll say this, everybody, if you actually have proprietary IP that makes AI better, smarter, faster, that is valuable. That is valuable. If you combine this with a brand that people respect and they know that your IP is good, then they're gonna want access to your trained AI, whether that's an agent or a GPT or even just your prompts. They're going to want that. The thing is, how do people know that your stuff is better? You're going to have to share it.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to share it in ungated channels where they can have access to it. So if people, watch you on YouTube or they hear you on a podcast like this, or they see you on a stage somewhere and they think, wow, that person is really, really, really smart. and they find that they can get access to the robots that you've trained, I do believe that that's going to be the future of business. We're not going to be training people. We're going to be training the robots and giving the people access to the robots.
Yeah.
Welcome to the future, my friends.
I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Ryan, thank you so much for being here today. I greatly appreciate you taking the time and sharing with our audience. Everybody, make sure that you definitely check him out on YouTube, consume the information, and then also check out Scalable, because I've been there. I love it. It's a great community and it's helped grow my business. So thank you all for joining us on another episode of Creating Powerful Impact. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Creating Powerful Impact podcast. If you are a successful coach, speaker, author, or thought leader who would like to be on this program, simply visit creatingpowerfulimpact.com/guest. If you are someone who got something out of this interview, would you please do me a favor and share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend or post it on your socials. Also, if you know somebody that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Creating Powerful Impact. I love seeing all of your posts and great guest selections. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show, and they really mean a lot to me and my team. Want to know more about us? Head on over to our website, graceandeaseproductions.com, or follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram. Just look for Grace and Ease Productions on your favorite platform. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.